A North Carolina Clean Energy Program study ranked Boston second among the nation's largest 50 cities in terms of the potential energy savings available to residents who install solar. Solar panels save a ton of energy, and in a lot of states, including Massachusetts, they can push monthly savings over $100 for homeowners going solar. According to data from Energy Sage, an average Massachusetts household paying $100 a month for electricity has the potential of saving about $35,900 over the next 20 years. That's almost $1,800 in monthly savings by purchasing a rooftop solar panel system. But buying an entire system at once can cost up to $25,000, which is worth it after about 4 or 5 years, yet many still do not have sufficient funds for one upfront payment. Leasing is an option for homeowners, but fees always slightly increase with continuous electric rates. Although installation and maintenance can be pricey, and after about 25 years most people would have to buy all new panels, prices and aesthetics are still major barriers at the end of the day that keep suburban Massachusetts from going solar. While efforts are continuously made to make the sustainable energy source more efficient and attainable, we are still not there quite yet.
The Massachusetts Water Resources Authority is working on several wind projects around Boston. They recently installed a 1.5 megawatt turbine in Charleston and two 600 kilowatt turbines on Deer Island. The turbines generate more than 5 million kilowatt hours and save roughly $600,000 each year. In 2008, the Massachusetts Port Authority installed 20 wind turbines on the roof of Logan Airport's offices. The 12-foot tall turbines use energy from the steady winds along the waterfront. Also, the Boston Redevelopment Authority created new zoning laws for wind turbines. The regulations make installing wind turbines easier and faster. They also protect natural and historic resources and public safety. Although Massachusetts is windy enough to eventually generate all the energy it needs from wind turbines, there is already major backlash from people since creating wind turbines has such a higher initial investment than using fossil fuels. Noise pollution is also a reason people would refuse them being built in certain places, and blades could kill and injure birds and other flying wildlife. Lastly, it's not reliable. Unlike with fossil fuels, you can't store wind energy in potential form. Therefore, when you have no wind, or it's not windy enough for the windmill you have, or the wind is blowing in excess of the speeds your windmill is rated for, your energy production falls sharply, or is simply zero. Energy demand doesn't decline when there's no wind, meaning that even with an inconceivably large number of windmills with the potential to generate power, there still needs to be a fossil fuel backup system in the event that nothing is produced. Switching back and forth from one system to the other introduces many extra costs, making the process all the more expensive for large-scale implementation.
Recently, a private equity firm in Boston agreed to the purchase of 13 hydroelectric dams across New England on the Connecticut and Deerfield rivers. Purchases like these are responsible for the substantial increase in renewable energy generation that Massachusetts has experienced in the last few years, rising from just 5% in 2008 to just over 10% as of late 2015. This electricity could be supplied to Boston's thirstiest commercial buildings such as City Hall with relative ease. Unfortunately, Boston lacks some of the basic prerequisites for local hydropower dams. Without a large, expendable area to flood on Boston's flowing rivers, the only viable option for hydropower is to utilize newer hydrokinetic technologies. These new hydro turbines are freestanding, require no reservoir or dam to function, and can generate electricity 24/7 once installed. These turbines are capable of producing mass amounts of electricity for Boston while requiring little to no maintenance or operational costs.
Geothermal energy is a renewable energy source that comes from the interior of the planet, where naturally occurring radioactive elements decay and release heat and energy. Power plants built on the surface above these hotspots convert geothermal energy into electricity. Unfortunately for Boston, and much of the East Coast, the viability of setting up power plants to produce electricity is dubious. The subsurface in these areas just isn't active enough to be compatible. As shown in the map here, much of the eastern U.S. is not favorable for a deep enhanced geothermal system, and no hydrothermal sites have been identified east of Colorado. Although large-scale electricity-producing power plants are not really an option for the Boston area, methods for heating and cooling buildings using Earth's interior temperatures are available and already underway. At 888 Commonwealth Avenue in Brookline, Boston University has created their first geothermally heated building. 6 wells have been drilled below the building. Water is pumped down these wells and conducts heat from warmer subsurface temperatures. Using a compressor and heat exchanger, much like a refrigerator, warm air is then pumped into the building.
To make the switch to 100% renewable energy in Boston, huge investments are going to have to be made. To initially build the infrastructure of wind fields, solar fields, and the implementation of new technology, it's going to cost billions of dollars. Some key components that are essential to be able to start the switch are prospecting, permitting, marketing, and the installation, operation, and management of the new technology. Another problem that will arise is the question of building new or maintaining old infrastructure. Infrastructure around the nation is already deteriorating. Nationally, bridges, roads, transit are all in need of major renovation. Secondly, the benefits of switching to renewable energy has to be better marketed. People will have choices where their fuel comes from or what source of energy to use. Green energy tends to have more stable pricing compared to fossil fuels. Maintaining the new infrastructure will create job opportunities. The high initial cost of switching to renewables is outweighed by the long-term benefits. Transitioning to government subsidies, the data chart is provided by the Federal Department of Energy. This chart shows the budget and possible future allocation of the budget. To sum up the information on the left, the Department of Energy has decided to slightly increase renewable energy funding. Government energy spending mainly goes into nuclear research. What this chart doesn't tell you is that nuclear research and management also fall under the environmental management and energy sections of the chart. Because of this, in total, nuclear science and security demand over 62% of the energy budget. Because of this, government subsidies are greatly out of proportion. The sustainable technology budget is $1.474 billion. This is less than 4.6% of the total energy budget, while nuclear development controls over $19.9 billion, more than 62% of the total energy budget. To be able to begin the switch to renewable energy, our government has to better allocate the energy budget to support the research and development of renewables. As of currently, too much money is being placed into nuclear development. The budget allocation is vastly out of proportion.